Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Hope Ministries Emergency Solutions Grant Regional Application Public Meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. This meeting is being recorded for those who are unable to join us live here at 12:36 p.m. On the 20th. You will be able to access this recording on our YouTube channel, on our social media, and on our website. If you are an attendee, please place your name in the chat for attendance record. My name is Molly Helmstetter. I'm the Director of Development at New Hope Ministries. And the purpose of today's meeting is to provide an overview of the application that New Hope Ministries is submitting to the Department of Community and Economic Development for an Emergency Solutions Grant regional application to support our homelessness prevention efforts in Adams, Cumberland, and York counties. Feedback and comments can be made during the meeting in the chat box and will be addressed later in the meeting during that portion. Our official public comment period ends this Friday, August 23rd at 3 p.m. And located in the chat are the different ways that you can submit those comments via email. You can deliver the comments to any New Hope location, or you can call us. At this point, I'd like to introduce Sue Fornicola. She is our program director, and she's going to give a little bit of history about New Hope and share specifically about our amazing homeless and housing prevention programs. Sorry, that's not the right phrase. Our housing and homelessness prevention programs that we have here at New Hope. Sue?
Thank you, Molly. Yes, it is a privilege to be at New Hope and to see what we do here when it comes to helping our neighbors in need. And our mission statement is to show the love and hope of Christ by serving our neighbors in need and supporting their efforts towards stability. And in doing so, housing has been one of the biggest struggles and barriers that many of our guests have found. Last year in April, we actually became more intentional. We've always helped with housing in some way, but we became more intentional with bringing on a couple of staff that are housing and homeless coordinators, and they manage that program, and they do an awesome job in being able to help our homeless or near homelessness guests that come through our door if they become stable in their housing. And that's been such a blessing to watch them be able to work with each and every guest that they work with and help them obtain stability by being able to have a home to live in. And one of the neat things that I think we do is every time we put somebody in a home, we give them a home sweet home mat to put outside their door. Some of them may have been sleeping in a car. They may have been sleeping on someone's sofa. They may have been unhoused altogether in any way from the elements. And we've been able to bring them into a home and put a home sweet home mat in front of their door, which each of them I know love and appreciate because they now do have some means of security. And New Hope does help with housing, but sometimes our guests really do need maybe some help with workforce. And that we get the privilege of as well to help them with a nurse aid class, childcare development, EMT program, phlebotomy tech training, MA training, pharmacy tech, Rise Up, CDL Class A. And we also have a transportation program. And we know housing, childcare, and transportation can all be barriers for anyone trying to become stable and succeed in taking care of their families. So with New Hope being able to walk beside someone, we always say we give them a hand up. We're trying to help them, whether it's through one of our workforce programs and our transportation. We have a program where we can help them either repair a vehicle or maybe use one of our Hope Rides vehicles where they can get back and forth to one of those trainings I just mentioned, or to get looking for a job or to continue with the job that they have. And then we can help them even moving further to obtain permanent transportation by possibly getting a vehicle of their own or repairing the vehicle that they need. So New Hope has a whole lot going on a regular basis to help our guests that come through our doors to become stable and to change maybe just the way that they've been living. And of course, housing we know is one of the biggest ones that we can ever help a guest with. We know that right now it's warm, maybe not so bad, but fall is coming and so is winter. So we want nothing more than to be able to get every person that comes through our doors stable housing and to let them know that someone cares, someone loves them, and someone's going to walk beside them. And every life transformed is the best that we can do as they come through the doors. We want to be able to help them in any way we can. I'd like to introduce one of our housing and homeless managers. Her name is Candy Benson, and she's here and she's just going to share a story and a few stats. Andy?
Thank you, Sue. So since coming on last year as starting the housing program, I am so happy to announce that this Thursday we will mark our 250th family that will have been rehoused through New Hope Ministries. Today I'd like to tell you a little bit about one of our guests from our Enola location, Miss Jackie. Miss Jackie was referred to the housing program in April of 2024 after in March losing her mother, who was the leaseholder of the apartment. Jackie was asked to vacate due to not being able to financially support the lease on her own after her mother passing. Getting connected with New Hope Ministries, was able to get set up for food services to get her out of her car, which was a very nice mid-size SUV, but not the best to be living in. So within a week, we were able to connect her with one of our landlords that's in the Enola area. And she just celebrated her second month in her apartment, and she's very happy. So it's wonderful what we're able to do to help connect families and landlords together in the community.
Thank you, Candy. That's awesome. Molly?
Yes, thank you both, Candy and Sue, for sharing great information about the work that's happening here at New Hope and why we're here, the people like Jackie that we're helping. That really speaks volumes to the impact that this program has. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Eric Saunders, our Executive Director. Eric is going to speak more directly about our application and share a little bit more about why we're applying for this specific grant. And after that, we will have a comment period. So Eric, take it away.
Thank you, and greetings to everybody who's going to be observing this recording after the fact. We welcome your comments, and we are grateful for the entire community's support and sharing these resources with those who might potentially be in need. One of the first things that I want to make sure that people realize is that this Emergency Solutions Grant Program, which is funded by Housing and Urban Development and through the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, is not a new grant program. A year ago, we did a similar public meeting where we shared the intense housing needs that exist in the communities that New Hope serves, particularly because of the post-pandemic impacts of inflation on the cost and availability of housing. So we're coming back a year later, having successfully been awarded $125,000 through the state ESG program for a regional organization. New Hope serves parts of Adams, York, and Cumberland counties. We were also successfully awarded an ESG, that's Emergency Solutions Grant, in Cumberland County for a lesser amount, but that allowed us to provide housing prevention services to residents of the Cumberland County area. And so we're very grateful for both of those grants. And believe it or not, a year has gone by and it's time for us to reapply for the state regional grant program. It's important for those who are trying to understand both this grant and the work of New Hope Ministries to have some awareness of the geography that New Hope Ministries serves. And so I'm going to do a screen share and allow you to kind of see some visuals of what I'm talking about. And technology being what it is, I'm going to ask just for confirmation that I'm on the right page. All right, I'm going to stop share because technology being what it is, and do that again. Okay. So this is from New Hope's website. There's a lot of information both about our housing programs as well as the communities that New Hope serves. But this is our service area map. Sometimes we try to guess at what that outline of that blue shaded figure looks like. For a while, we were saying it looked like a baseball catcher, but as we've grown, he's gained a little bit of weight. But the point is that we have 9 service locations that are indicated by the blue dots. And you'll notice in our Cumberland County region, we've got Mechanicsburg, Enola, and Lemoyne locations. In York County, we have Dillsburg, Redland, Dover, and Hanover locations. And you may notice that there's an orange dot on the screen, which is going to be the site in Spring Grove of our 10th service location sometime in 2025. But we are currently serving the 17362 and surrounding zip codes in the Spring Grove area and school district from our New Oxford, Dover, and Hanover sites. And so in addition to those 4 soon to be 5 York County locations, we also have service locations in New Oxford and Littlestown of Adams County, and the northern tier of Adams County, including Aspers and Gardners and York Springs, are able to receive services from our Dillsburg, York County location. So in all, our service area makes up the population of York, about half of York County, Adams County, and Cumberland counties. And I'm going to quickly switch over and offer you a different comparison. This is a ranking of county populations. And it's interesting that, Philadelphia County, followed by Allegheny County, where we have Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, those are the most populous locations. But if we were to consider New Hope's service area as a county in the state of Pennsylvania, it would actually be the 8th most populous county with just over 470,000 residents in that 3-county service area, which actually exceeds any of the 3 counties where we're currently providing service. So that really is what defines us as a regional organization. And I think it's important to realize that even though a lot of the communities that are represented in New Hope service territory would be rural and suburban, there is a great deal of poverty that exists in those areas. There's a great deal of homelessness, and there's a high risk of homelessness. And I'm going to share a website from Pennsylvania Housing Alliance, which shows just some of the numbers that are being seen around the state. So if you'll take a look with me at this, you can actually see all of the counties in the state of Pennsylvania, and they are shaded either red for highest number of evictions, orange for a moderate number, there's a beige for sort of modest, and then the various shades of blue which have lower levels of eviction. But you're just as threatened if you lose your housing in a blue shaded territory as you are in one of the red shaded counties. But interestingly, if you look, and you may or may not be able to see, but I'll relay the numbers. York County, which is one of the largest counties in our service territory, is a red shaded county. It's one of the counties in the state right now that has some of the highest numbers of evictions. So over the last year, 7,302 evictions were filed in York County. In Cumberland County, 2,251 evictions were filed, and in Adams County, which is still a modest, in terms of rankings and evictions across the state, 412. So in total, about 10,000 families were faced with eviction, across the 3 counties where New Hope serves. That is an appalling number of people who are faced with homelessness and extreme financial hardship. And for us, it illustrates why there's such an intensive need for the housing services and homeless prevention services that New Hope provides. It's, because with the changes in the housing environment. The supply of affordable housing has become much more burdened. It is much harder to find housing that a low and moderate income family can afford, and it's much harder. It's much harder to afford that housing because the cost of housing has increased at such an alarming rate over the last couple of years. So our watchword is, if you're experiencing financial struggles and are unable to afford housing, it is much easier to keep you in the housing that you already have than it is to try to locate new housing. If that housing meets your needs, rental assistance can help prevent that eviction process, and supportive services that are provided for that family can help with employment, help with finding, healthcare needs, help with diverting people from homelessness and the overburdened homeless assistance system, and try to find them solutions that are going to create stability to help meet their needs. And so I think that's a good description of the challenges that our agency has experienced for a long time, but especially over the last 2 to 3 years, excuse me, as well as the solutions that we're trying to put in place. And I think Sue and Candy have illustrated so well the types of help that we can give. Just by way of understanding the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. And I will quickly show you, if anybody wants to know more about the Emergency Solutions Grant, the Department of Community and Economic Development website contains a complete page on the ESG program, along with a lot of links and documentation to help understand both the requirements that we have to operate under to receive these funds, as well as the different types of programs that can be supported with the Emergency Solutions Grant. And so we have been very, very grateful to receive these funds. It certainly is a lot of work, and there are a lot of responsibilities that we have to make sure that we're effectively administering those funds according to the program guidelines. But so you can find out more information. Certainly anybody who has questions can address them to us, both through the public comment period, but even outside that period, if you want to understand more about New Hope's housing programs or this grant in particular. The requirements for receiving help through an ESG funded program can be restrictive. They are very, very selective by intent. Not everybody who is looking for help with housing or homelessness is going to be able to be helped through this program. One of the great things, though, that we experience is that New Hope has been in business for 42 years, serving the community with the support of our churches, with our concerned community members, with people who care about their neighbors and don't want to see kids and families and seniors and people living on the streets, sleeping in their cars, put in harm's way. And so we have a lot of different types of funding streams. I think the reality is that none of them go far enough to address all the housing needs that we experience, but each one helps a lot. And so even if somebody doesn't qualify under the ESG program requirements because they are not very low income, homeless is still homeless, risk of eviction is still a life crisis for people. We have other ways that we can help, and we would encourage folks, please come to us, allow us to do a proper intake and evaluation and evaluate your needs, find out what your goals are, and try to direct you to the programs, whether they're our programs or the programs of another agency, where you can receive help. In particular, just kind of closing the conversation about our Emergency Solution Grant, there are very specific ways that this Emergency Solution Grant can be used. And I want people to be able to see that. And so different eligible projects would include street outreach and rapid rehousing, homeless prevention, emergency shelter, and the homeless management information system, which we do some of. But the category that we are seeking funding for through this program specifically is to be able to operate a homeless prevention program. And homeless prevention includes financial assistance, rental assistance, and services to people who are at risk of homelessness or who are experiencing homelessness currently. And so there are various categories for help. Again, a lot more information available through the websites that we shared. But it breaks down to this: if somebody is currently literally homeless, we can help you find temporary housing as well as move into permanent housing. If you're at risk of homelessness, imminent risk of homelessness, or experiencing or fleeing domestic violence, we can assist people with those same services and to try to prevent that eviction from taking place. And these funds are incredibly valuable. It's interesting that the way that this program is structured is we have to have matching funds. And so in a lot of ways, the generosity of our community and grants and supporters, and like I said, churches, um, is helping us leverage additional funding to be able to support those experiencing or at risk of homelessness. And so all forms of support are critically important. And we are just grateful to be able to serve, especially during this time of really intensive homeless crisis. So, bottom line, what are we trying to do? We received $125,000 in last year's grant award. It was not all that we asked for. We were certainly very grateful for it. And so we once again are submitting an application for $250,000 through the ESG grant. And that will make, with matching funds that are required, our homeless prevention program will be a $500,000 budget program. That seems like an incredible amount of money to me. It's about 10% of our agency budget. Um, so that's still a substantial portion. But if you realize that it can take thousands of dollars to stabilize somebody, that those funds are going to go, fairly quickly. And that could mean, somewhere between 1 to 200 families over the course of the year are able to be helped with those homeless prevention services. We already saw the number of evictions. So this really is a good start, but it's a drop in the bucket. And it certainly, means that we're going to have to work as hard as we can, be as frugal as we can, and work together as much as we can to provide support to these families and individuals to make sure that they have the housing that they need. We do not do this work alone. We partner with great organizations. We think of Cumberland Cares and Family Promise and Bell Socialization and the Changing Life Shelter in Hanover and many other providers, healthcare providers like Family First Health and Sadler Health, up in the Cumberland County area that can provide health and dental and behavioral health services. New Hope has a number of program areas, again, as Sue mentioned, where we are experts in delivering human services. Certainly food assistance and workforce development and life skills training and youth services. And so those that are coming to us for homeless prevention services are able to take advantage of both our services as well as the services that are provided by other valued nonprofit partners. New Hope operates within a group of agencies and county agencies, nonprofit and county agencies that deliver housing and homeless services. These are called, for those who aren't as familiar with how the homeless service delivery system works, it's called a continuum of care. And so within a geographic area, there are regular meetings, partnerships, policies, and there is a cooperative relationship between multiple agencies that are needed to be able to deliver housing and homeless services across that continuum of care service area. We participate both in the Eastern Continuum of Care as well as the York County Coalition on Homelessness, and are very valuable. We're very appreciative of the valuable services that they provide to us in terms of training and leadership, and coordination, as well as funding. Those are critical resources that are so appreciated. I am just glad to be able to share more about the work that we're doing, welcoming all comments, and I'm going to turn things back over to Molly.
Thanks, Eric, and thanks again to Sue and Candy for sharing earlier on. At this point, we're opening up the meeting for comments. We do not have anyone else right now that has indicated they are on the call. There are no questions in the chat. However, ahead of this meeting, we did receive one comment via email, and I do want to just share that very quickly, just asking that a summary of our application be posted, and that will happen after today's recording. It'll be part of our website summary as well as social media. So that will be out there. And the comment also just states that New Hope does great work that I endorse. So just wanted to share that quick comment. Other than that, if anyone watching this recording ahead of the public comment deadline, which is Friday, August 23rd at 3 p.m., would still like to provide comments or have questions ahead of that deadline, again, it's noted on our website and in the chat that's being recorded here that can be made via email, a phone call, or dropped off at any of New Hope's locations. This recording will also be posted as indicated on our website, on our YouTube channel. There will be links. Any last words, Eric or Sue, before we adjourn?
None for me.
None for me. Thank you.
Well, thank you all very much. We appreciate the information, and we will officially adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much.
Righty. Bye-bye.